Hello everyone. Welcome to Koi. Koi means where in Bangla. Uh, and the main reason for that is in this channel, we're going to try to talk about the latest in research that is happening regarding our changing planet, and specifically how geospatial technologies can be used to answer the vital questions of today. The main aim of this channel is to promote specifically early career researchers, that is, researchers from master's, PhD, and postdoc level, uh, to get to know about the vital research that they're doing. As we all know that the postdocs and the early careers are sort of the main people who sort of execute the research problems, and therefore a main aim of this channel is to try to provide the early careers with a platform to promote their research. So just a brief about myself. I'm Monojit Shaha. I'm currently a PhD student at the University of Maryland and a graduate research assistant with the Cryosphere Sciences Laboratory at NASA Goddard. Being an early career myself, the personal aim of this channel is to promote the early career scientists and their research. Uh, so specifically today, we have a fascinating guest with us today, Obaidur Rahman, who is currently a master's student at the University of Utah, and who's doing fascinating research specifically about wildfires. What Obaidur is really fascinated is about how geospatial technologies can be used for wildfire evacuation. As we all know, wildfire has been a major impact of the changing planet, and today we are going to try and learn about Obaidur's research and how that is doing fascinating work to help change our planet. So we welcome to this podcast Obaidur Rahman. And Obaidur, thanks for joining the podcast. And
Thank you. Thank you.
so if you can start off by sort of introducing yourself, and also if you can add how you came across or how you came across doing this research.
All right. Thank you, Monojit Bhai, for inviting me in such amazing podcast. And I'm feeling so honored to be here to uh, to showcase and talk something regarding my work, like my latest research, which is based on wildfire evacuation. So my name is Waidur Rahman. I'm a master student, as you already said. And I'm a research assistant at the Utah Remote Sensing Application Lab, University of Utah. So here my research focuses on like geospatial modeling, specifically using LiDAR and GIS to solve like environmental challenges, specifically the wildfire. So, with a strong background in remote sensing and machine learning, I work on projects that ranges from analyzing the understory vegetation cover, basically understory vegetation density and cover, and using LiDAR, multi-scale LiDAR, for example, terrestrial, UAV, and airborne LiDAR. I work on projects that range from like analyzing vegetation structures to the wildfire fuel modeling. And before coming at the University of Utah, I completed my bachelor in geography and environment from University of Dhaka, where I developed my passion for using the spatial analysis to address real-world problems. So my interest in Earth observation was sparked during my undergraduate studies, um, where I actually worked on projects involving like disaster land use analysis in Bangladesh. So the exposure to practical framework and like potential work of geospatial technology to make a meaningful impact in like in real world problem. Now, through my work at the ARSA Lab, Utah Remote Sensing Application Lab, I'm a part of team that combines like cutting edge technologies with data-driven strategies to contribute to safer and more sustainable environment. So here, currently, I'm working with real-time data sets, collecting data from field, analyzing in my lab, working in collaboration with US Forest Service. So it's kind of short intro
Right.
mine. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, thank you so much, Obaidur. That's very inspiring. And what I would like to highlight is sort of how you've been involved in research from such a from your undergrad, right? So that's
Yeah,
amazing that you sort of developed your passion like that. And that is also a key thing to note for the younger audience who's looking into this podcast, is how you if you start early and you start
right.
exploring
Exactly.
technologies, that's when it's nice. So moving on to first of all, congratulations on your latest paper. We've seen that
Thank you.
your latest paper has come out and it addresses uh, the uh, the latest findings from your group, and we would like to know a bit about that, specifically like what methods are you using, and what fascinating results do you have there. So
Yeah, yeah. This is a good point. The main focus, for example, my research that lies in modeling the wildfire ground evacuation time, which we call GET, actually, ground evacuation time modeling. So it's basically for the wildland firefighters, which may seem niche but has profound implications. So we have developed a second version of ground evacuation time model, which we are calling a new generation of ground evacuation time modeling, or GET version 2, which actually provides a spatial representation of how long it would take to transport an injured firefighter to the nearest hospital using ground roads. So basically, always a helicopter is not an option, and you may have some limitation while you are evacuating the wildland firefighters from the ground. Like there may be some problem regarding location, problem regarding weather, and also resources. So the ground roads is basically the base of wildland firefighter evacuation. So this involves taking into account like a complex array of factors, for example, route network, terrain, slope, vegetation density, natural barriers like rivers or cliffs. The model is designed to help incident commanders plan safer strategies, especially in remote and hazardous areas, actually, like where you cannot go very easily. Like you have so many barriers, like rivers, like dense understory vegetation, where you cannot pass by walking, and it takes a lot of time to reach to the nearest hospitals. So this ground roads is basically essential for this research. And what motivated me to focus on this research area was the realization of how high the stakes are for these front workers. You know, like frontline workers, for example, firefighters in Western USA. So wildfires are here are becoming more frequent and intense, with climate change amplifying these trends. And in this extreme scenario, like every second counts when evacuating an injured crew member. And our model actually helps like visualizing potential evacuation delays, highlighting areas that could pose serious risk if an injury occurs. And by making these insights accessible to decision makers, we essentially equipping them with data-driven tool to reduce the risk actually.
right.
So our
That's
work,
fascinating. Yeah. So
right,
yeah, first of all,
exactly,
I'd like to add that how important your work is. Like we are dealing with real world problems,
right.
and sometimes it's very hard to imagine the level of applications of geospatial
Mhm.
technology and how
Right,
important they are. But I'd just like to highlight that how, very real world problems such as helping firefighters find the to reduce their evacuation time and find the best possible
right,
way is a very important research. So,
exactly.
yeah, would you like to sort of share a bit more about your paper, like specifically what techniques you're using and how you're doing the analysis?
Yeah. So, for example, like our work addresses larger societal challenges as well, like community safety, environmental conservation. For example, like knowing evacuation times can influence placement of safety zones or inform public policies that actually dictate the fire management strategies. So one of our goals is to ensure our research not only aid firefighting terms, but also informs broader effort to protect ecosystem and communities from the wildfire threat. So for example, if I share my short methodology here, for example, here you go. So we are taking into account, for example, like hospitals. So whole intercontinental United States, which we are calling corners, have more than 5,000 hospitals, which are based on different levels, like level one, level two, level three, and till like level nine hospital. So we are taking into account the hospitals that are well widely spatially distributed throughout the entire continental USA. And we are taking into account the cost from on-road travel and off-road travel, actually. So on-road travel, what does it mean? Like travel costs from speed category. So whenever you're using paved road, like you use your motor car and you can easily follow the path, which we are calling on-road travel, and we calculated the cost from this on road based on the speed category of this road. And also like off-road travel, there have a lot of barriers or like impedance. For example, slope. Whenever you're walking through a like slope of 30-degree, it's kind of easier. But whenever you're walking through like 45-degree or 50 degrees, it's too hard to reach to the destination. So what we did here is basically we just omitted the slope more than like 45-degree. It's just impassable. Like you cannot walk, right? So if and also like we added there the minor roads, the trails from the SG roads and hair road data set, and also we calculated the land cover cost. For example, the slash, trace, and the gradients of slashes cost, and also like we added the stream cost, like which stream you can pass or which stream you cannot pass while you are reaching to the nearest hospital, right? So all these physical barriers, physical components, calculating and combining the on-road travel and off-road travel, we just calculated the time cost accumulation from hospital and also like firefighter ground evacuation time to hospital. So this is the main kind of methodology of this paper. And here we see like the hospitals in USA. This is like here you see that most of the hospitals are concentrated in Eastern USA and like some are in Western USA, which are like 11 states of USA. And also the roads, here you see the speed category. So we calculated the speed category based on the speed based on the route category types defined by US Route Transport Agency. So we calculated all these and then we also calculated like the shock cover proportion of roads, trails, slash debris, and the perennial streams. So which actually have waters year round. So all this combination helped us to build a model that actually shows the time from any pixel from continental USA to the nearest hospital, or any pixel from the hospital location to any pixel to the nearest location in continental USA. So yeah, there's a bit of um, methodology part, but I encourage people to read the paper thoroughly if you want to really learn the actual uh, detailed methodology of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very fascinating. Like I was very impressed by sort of like the depth of the model and how you are considering like multi-decision or
Right.
multi-criteria to
Exactly.
make the decisions. So can you tell me a bit about like where the LiDAR and remote sensing data is like particularly used in this model?
Well, LiDAR data basically, like we use the data from Landfire. Landfire is a program from United States Department of Interior and United States Forest Department actually. So they basically every year they collect the data and update the data for entire USA. For example, we use the data for 2022 because at the time where our research started at 2023, we only had the latest data from 2022. So the LiDAR data basically used for the vegetation structure, like the canopy heights and like understory cover, like where the concentration of understory is much higher and where the understory is much lower because understory cover or understory density actually plays a key role while evacuating from the ground. It actually used as an impedance, and whenever understory is like human height vegetation, it's more dense. You cannot pass this area very easily, right? So LiDAR actually acts as a major component here. And for me, for example, what we are doing currently for my research actually, thesis research, is basically we are trying to identify and build a model using machine learning to quantify the understory vegetation for entire USA. And and we already built the methodology, work is going on, and our plan is to integrate this new layer in our GET model and publish a new version 3 of GET model.
Right. Okay, that's really fascinating, and yeah, I would like to highlight how you're also involving machine learning,
Yeah.
and as most of our listeners would definitely know, how we are in a data-driven revolution where
Hmm.
machine learning and artificial intelligence
Right.
is definitely sort of, what should I say, the buzzword. But it's buzzword for a good reason, because the amount of data that we currently have in terms of managing those data and analyzing those data, humans are sort of not being able to cope up with that, and therefore
Yeah,
we
right.
need to build
Absolutely.
like intuitive models to sort of help us make these informed
Hmm.
decisions. The next thing that I'd like to ask you, Baidur, I've seen that throughout this research, you have collaborated with a lot of a lot of agencies, especially throughout the US. So, can you tell us a bit about what the experience of sort of working with these agencies and how that has helped you enrich your research?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. So in USA, so there have a lot of national labs and a lot of national agencies. For example, NASA, U.S. Department of Forest, NSF, U.S. Department of Interior, National Park Service, a lot of agencies over here. So while working on this project, we were currently collaborating with US Forest Service. US Forest Service basically helps to develop datasets related to wildfire and also like wildland firefighter safety or like urban wildland interference, a lot of this. So while working with this, our work was basically monitored by two instructor from U.S. Forest Service. One, his name is Benjamin, and another person was named Richard. So we got funded for this project from US Forest Service for 2 years, and our goal was, for example, US Forest Service was using a layer of GET, which was developed in 2013. So it was like GET first version of this GET, and it was not that much comprehensive. It was not that much improved to use in current situation like wildfire in today's USA is so high, so frequent every year. That's why our collaboration is basically helped us to develop a new version of this gate. And what helps collaborating with the agencies, basically, for example, number one is funding. Like they fund people like university researchers for developing new data set, developing new methodologies, and using cutting edge technologies like machine learning and AI, as you already mentioned. And it's pretty easy to do the work with the agency because sometimes you cannot access the data which you need for your analysis. And whenever you request the agency that, okay, fine, I need the data, maybe it's some confidential data they will not usually provide you for your research, but whenever you collaborate with them, they provide the data pretty easily, and then you can work without any hassle. So that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would like to just add on to that,
Yeah.
how Baidur was mentioning about the importance of collaboration. So, research is always a
Hmm.
collaborative endeavor. If you look into the latest papers, you'd see that the author list goes on and on. And,
Right.
there's a philosophy behind that. Before people used to think that, oh, I'll be like the single author and that would be a high impact paper. But now the perception is
Right.
different. Like, the more you collaborate, the more you can. Uh, Collaborate with different groups and even
Exactly.
across like the world, right? It's a
Hmm.
because the more the better your research is in terms of impact, right? So
Exactly.
thank you for highlighting that. That is a very key message from this podcast as well. So Obaidur, just sort of we're towards the end, but I'd like to sort of ask you, do you have so can you like what are the two main things about your research that you'd like to tell our listeners to focus on why it's important? And second of all, do you have any advice for sort of the younger audience or younger aspiring researchers who are trying to move into uh, higher studies and trying to do research? So yeah,
Yeah,
if you
sure.
just cover
Yeah.
those 2 points, thanks.
Yeah, this is great points actually. So the impacts and application which you mentioned, basically like the real world applications of our research are very important and vast. So for example, for wildland firefighters and fire management agencies, our GET model is critical tool that helps guide decisions about where to place fire crews. So how to establish like safety zones and when to pull back to avoid necessary risk. So by avoiding a clear picture of evacuation challenges, we are enabling the incident commanders to make safer and more informed decision. So beyond immediate firefighting operations, our research has implications for broader environmental and community safety. For example, urban planners. They can use our data to better understand wildfire risk and advocate for building infrastructure that improves emergency response. And also, like conservation groups may also find value in our work as it will highlight the interconnections of environmental management and human safety. So we have even had this discussion about our how our GET model basically could inform policy such as allocating resources to improve access to remote hospital or investing in better trail system for emergency evacuation. So one real life example, for example, from our model, which impacts involves a fire management team that used an early version of our evacuation data to rethink their deployment strategy. So by visualizing the evacuation challenge, they made the strategies adjustment that could have significant safety benefits in fire future operations. And the advice, as you're asking, there might be a lot, but I would specifically tell something for the early career scientists or early career researchers who actually are interested in Earth observation, environmental research, or like something like me, like working on wildfire challenges, real world problems. So my first piece of advice would be open to interdisciplinary learning. Like this field draws in geography, computer science, environmental science, even emergency management a lot. So gaining a strong foundation in GIS, in spatial analysis is essential. Like you can start as early as possible. So there's a saying called that the best time for planting a tree was 20 years ago, but the best time for planting a tree is today. So when you missed a year, for example, you didn't started your career like in your undergrad second year or third year, you can start now. Maybe you are a final year student, maybe you are a first year master student. So it's not a problem. It's just your mindset that leads you to the path. So try to work on projects that let you apply your skills to solve practical problems. And also like networking is a crucial thing. It helped me a lot throughout my career and my research work. Engage with people and professionals organization like you can engage with like American Geophysical Union or like you American astronomer geographers or whatever in your country. Like in Bangladesh, for example, there have a lot of organizations that work with geospatial technologies. So you can engage with them. This network actually provide resources like mentorship opportunities and access to the latest research. And also like attending conferences and presenting your work can open up collaboration and expose you to new ideas. And additionally, platforms like Esri or like open platform, for example, QGIS or like Esri communities, and they have like one website called GIS Geography, which actually regularly publish articles which you can access freely. So you can check these, and also like um, you can get the training resources for free from them, and anyone for looking to upskill in geospatial technologies. And lastly, always stay curious and resilient, because research can be full of setback, like especially when working with complex model or data. But remember, the impact of your work could be immense. So stay focused on the bigger picture and don't be afraid to take risks with innovative method or new technologies.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Obadur. I mean, that was a very nice way to summarize the two aspects of this podcast. So I'd like to briefly summarize how inspiring the work is. Like you see that Obadur is really working with state of the art technology to answer one of the key challenging questions of our earth, that is how we can help evacuation during wildfires.
Right.
This is a major issue now all over North America and globally. So first of all, I'd like to thank Ovaidur again for joining this podcast, and uh, I'd like to tell my audience that stay curious and always try to answer uh, the questions where, or in Bangla we'd call it koi. Thank
Yeah,
you
sure.
so much.
Thank you, Manojit bhai, and thank you everyone for